When you think of the world's richest men, names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Warren Buffett might come to mind. But in Asia, the man who holds that title is none other than Mukesh Ambani, the business magnate who transformed Reliance Industries into a global powerhouse. His journey to the top wasn't just about inherited wealth, it was a masterclass in vision, strategy, and one game-changing deal that reshaped the Indian economy and catapulted him past all competition. To truly appreciate how Mukesh Ambani made history with the biggest corporate deal in India, we must first understand the foundation that was laid decades ago. A legacy built on entrepreneurship. Mukesh Ambani was born in 1957 into a family that was on the brink of greatness. His father, Dhirubhai Ambani, wasn't a wealthy man, but he had something far more valuable: an unstoppable dream and an extraordinary business acumen. Starting as a small-time trader in textiles, Dhirubhai laid the foundation of Reliance Industries in the late 1960s. What started as a modest venture in the polyester business quickly expanded into petrochemicals, refining, and telecom. Under his father's leadership, Reliance became a household name, and when Dhirubhai passed away in 2002, the responsibility of leading the empire fell upon Mukesh and his younger brother, Anil Ambani. What followed was one of the most dramatic corporate battles in Indian history, the Ambani family feud. The split that shaped the future. Dhirubhai Ambani had built Reliance Industries as one entity, but after his death, a bitter dispute broke out between the two brothers. Their mother, Kokilaben Ambani, eventually stepped in and brokered a settlement. In 2005, Reliance was split into two. Mukesh Ambani took control of Reliance Industries Limited, RIL, which had businesses in oil refining, petrochemicals, and textiles. Anil Ambani got Reliance Communications, Reliance Power, and Reliance Capital, sectors that were expected to boom in the coming years. At first, many believed Anil had received the better deal. The telecom and power sectors were considered to be the future, while petrochemicals and refining were seen as traditional industries with limited growth potential. But what happened next would turn that assumption upside down. Mukesh wasn't just satisfied with running Reliance Industries as it was. He had a grand vision, one that would disrupt industries, dominate markets, and eventually make him the richest man in Asia. That vision was centered around a new age revolution: digital connectivity. The seed of the biggest deal, Jio's master plan. By the early 2010s, Mukesh Ambani had already made Reliance Industries one of India's largest conglomerates. But he was about to make his boldest bet yet: a complete digital transformation of India. His idea? To build the world's largest, fastest, and most affordable 4G network and bring cheap, high-speed internet to over 1.4 billion people. This wasn't just a business move, it was a tech revolution. In 2016, Reliance Jio was launched, offering free voice calls and ultra-cheap data plans. Within just a few months, millions of Indians switched to Jio, making it the fastest-growing telecom network in history. But here's the kicker: Jio was burning billions of dollars in investments, and many skeptics believed it would never be profitable. What they didn't realize was that Mukesh was playing the long game. He wasn't just building a telecom network, he was building a digital empire. And to do that, he needed the biggest deal in Indian corporate history. Enter the game changer, the Jio-Facebook deal. Just as Reliance Jio was reaching a dominant position in the market, the COVID-19 pandemic struck in early 2020. While businesses around the world suffered heavy losses, Mukesh saw an opportunity. In April 2020, in the midst of the global lockdown, Reliance Industries announced a groundbreaking deal. Facebook was investing $5.7 billion, 43,574 Indian rupees crore, into Jio platforms, making it the largest foreign investment in India's tech sector. This wasn't just a regular investment, it was a strategic alliance that would change the future of digital commerce in India. With Facebook and its subsidiary WhatsApp on board, Jio was now set to dominate not just telecom but also e-commerce, payments, and online services. But that was just the beginning. Over the next few months, a storm of global investors followed. Companies like Google, Intel, Qualcomm, Silver Lake, and KKR poured billions into Jio, pushing its valuation to $65 billion. Mukesh Ambani had pulled off the biggest funding spree in Indian history, securing over $20 billion in less than 6 months. This single deal didn't just wipe out Jio's debt, it also transformed Reliance Industries from an oil-dependent company into a tech-driven empire. More importantly, it skyrocketed Mukesh Ambani's net worth, officially making him the richest man in Asia. The Facebook Jio deal was just the beginning. Mukesh Ambani wasn't just aiming to dominate the telecom industry, he wanted to control India's digital ecosystem. The partnership with Facebook gave him a powerful ally, but it also sent shockwaves through the global tech world. How Mukesh outplayed India's telecom giants. Before Jio entered the market in 2016, India's telecom industry was ruled by a few major players: Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and Reliance Communications, owned by Mukesh's brother Anil Ambani. These companies charged high prices for data, and 4G penetration was low. Mukesh Ambani saw this as a massive opportunity. His strategy was simple but ruthless. Offer free voice calls for life. Give ultra-cheap 4G data plans. Build the largest fiber optic network in India. When Jio launched, customers flocked to it in millions. In just 6 months, Jio had gained 100 million subscribers, a feat that no telecom company in the world had ever achieved so quickly. The impact was devastating for competitors. Vodafone Idea started bleeding losses and struggled with debt. Airtel, India's largest telecom company, was forced to slash prices. Anil Ambani's Reliance Communications collapsed entirely, leading to his downfall. In less than 4 years, Mukesh eliminated most of his competition, making Jio the undisputed leader in India's telecom space. The true power of the Facebook-Jio deal. When Facebook invested $5.7 billion in Jio, most people assumed it was just a financial transaction. But Mukesh had a much bigger plan. At the heart of this deal was WhatsApp, which had over 400 million users in India, the largest user base in the world. By integrating WhatsApp with Jio, Mukesh was setting the stage for the biggest e-commerce battle against Amazon and Flipkart, owned by Walmart. His vision? JioMart, a digital marketplace that would connect small shopkeepers known as kiranas with online shoppers using WhatsApp. Why was this a game changer? Unlike Amazon and Flipkart, which relied on warehouses, JioMart would leverage India's 12 million local kirana stores. Customers could place orders through WhatsApp and get same-day delivery from their neighborhood stores. It was a hyperlocal model that combined the power of digital payments, social media, and logistics. In simple terms, Mukesh Ambani was redefining e-commerce in India, making it cheaper, faster, and more accessible than ever before, attracting more global tech giants. With Facebook in the bag, Mukesh went on a fundraising spree. He pitched Jio as the next big thing in tech, attracting some of the world's most powerful investors. Google invested $4.5 billion, securing a 7.73% stake in Jio. Intel Capital and Qualcomm, two of the biggest semiconductor companies, poured in millions, betting on Jio's future in 5G technology. Private equity firms like KKR, Silver Lake, and General Atlantic jumped in, bringing in billions more. In total, Jio raised over $20 billion in less than 6 months, a funding blitz that had never been seen before in India's corporate history. By mid-2020, Mukesh Ambani had successfully transformed Reliance from an oil and gas company into a technology behemoth. His net worth skyrocketed past $80 billion, officially making him the richest man in Asia. But Mukesh wasn't done yet. His next move would shake up India's retail industry, putting him in direct competition with Amazon's Jeff Bezos. By mid-2020, Mukesh Ambani had achieved what seemed impossible. He had turned Reliance Jio into a tech giant, raised $20 billion from global investors, and positioned himself as a major force in India's digital economy. But there was one more industry left to conquer: retail. This wasn't just about expanding his empire. This was a head-on collision with Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon and one of the richest men in the world. The rise of Reliance Retail. While most people associate Reliance with oil and telecom, Mukesh Ambani had been quietly building India's largest retail empire for years. Reliance Retail, launched in 2006, had grown into a massive business with over 12,000 stores across 6,500 cities in India. Reliance Retail wasn't just a supermarket chain, it was a one-stop shop that sold everything from groceries to fashion, electronics, and even luxury goods. The numbers were staggering. Over 640 million footfalls per year, making it India's most visited retail network. A customer base that included millions of middle-class and high-income Indians. A deep distribution network that allowed Reliance to dominate offline shopping. Mukesh's next step? Merging his offline retail dominance with his growing digital empire. That meant integrating JioMart, his e-commerce venture, with Reliance Retail, creating an online-to-offline business model that could compete with Amazon and Walmart-owned Flipkart. But to truly cement his dominance in Indian retail, Mukesh needed one thing, a game-changing acquisition. The big move, the acquisition of Future Group. In August 2020, Mukesh Ambani dropped another bombshell. Reliance Retail acquired Future Group for $3.4 billion, 24,713 Indian rupees crore. This was a major deal because Future Group was one of India's biggest retail chains, owning brands like Big Bazaar, Foo Hall, and Pantaloons. It had a strong presence in grocery and fashion retail, two segments that Amazon and Flipkart were trying to dominate. With this acquisition, Reliance Retail instantly became India's #1 retailer in grocery, apparel, and lifestyle, the biggest competitor to Amazon in Indian retail market. Jeff Bezos, who had invested billions into Amazon India, wasn't going to take this lightly. Amazon versus Mukesh Ambani, a legal war. As soon as the Reliance Future Group deal was announced, Amazon fought back with a lawsuit. Why? Because Amazon had invested $200 million in Future Group's subsidiary, Future Coupons, in 2019. This gave Amazon a contractual right to block any sale of Future Group's assets to a competitor, especially Reliance. Amazon argued that Future Group violated its agreement by selling its business to Mukesh Ambani. It took the case to the Singapore International Arbitration Center, SIC. Indian courts. The legal battle dragged on for over 2 years, with Amazon and Reliance fighting for control of India's $900 billion retail market. But here's where Mukesh Ambani showed his strategic brilliance again. The masterstroke that defeated Amazon. While Amazon was busy fighting in court, Mukesh Ambani played his trump card. He started taking over Future Group's stores one by one. Since Future Group was deep in financial trouble, many of its stores couldn't pay rent. Reliance quietly took over the leases, rebranded the stores under Reliance Retail, and absorbed thousands of employees. By the time the legal case ended in early 2022, Future Group was practically bankrupt. Mukesh Ambani had already taken over most of its assets, making the court battle irrelevant. It was a corporate coup, a classic Ambani move where he won without even waiting for the legal verdict. The government's role in Mukesh Ambani's rise. Another key factor in Mukesh Ambani's success has been his close relationship with the Indian government. Many critics argue that India's regulatory environment has often worked in Reliance's favor, especially in industries like telecom, oil, and retail. Here's how. In 2016, when Jio launched with free data and calls, India's telecom regulator changed the rules, which helped Jio sustain its aggressive pricing strategy. When foreign e-commerce companies like Amazon and Walmart faced restrictions on their operations in India, Reliance was expanding its retail empire with fewer hurdles. The Indian government has actively promoted local businesses over foreign players, aligning with Mukesh's vocal for local strategy. This government-business synergy has helped Reliance dominate industries at an unprecedented scale. Mukesh Ambani's retail domination, the final result. By the end of 2022, Mukesh Ambani had built India's largest retail network with over 17,000 stores. Integrated JioMart with Reliance Retail, creating a powerful e-commerce platform. Outplayed Amazon in a battle for Future Group, securing a massive expansion in grocery and fashion retail. His net worth surged past $90 billion, keeping him at the top of Asia's richest list. But Mukesh Ambani wasn't done yet. His next target? 5G and artificial intelligence. After conquering telecom, digital services, and retail, Mukesh Ambani set his sights on something even bigger, India's digital future. He knew that the next trillion-dollar industries would be driven by 5G, artificial intelligence, AI, and cloud computing. With Jio already dominating 4G in India, the next step was to build India's first and largest 5G network and beat global tech giants at their own game. Jio's 5G launch, how Ambani left competitors behind. In 2022, during Reliance Industries' annual general meeting AGM, Mukesh Ambani announced something game-changing. Jio would launch India's first standalone 5G network. What made this special? Unlike most telecom companies that upgraded their existing 4G networks, Jio was building 5G from scratch, ensuring faster speeds and lower costs. Instead of relying on expensive foreign technology from Huawei, Nokia, or Ericsson, Jio was developing its own 5G solutions in India, a move that reduced dependency on global telecom equipment providers. Mukesh promised to cover all major Indian cities with 5G by 2023, and within a year, Jio had rolled out 5G in over 4,000 cities and towns. This aggressive strategy left competitors like Airtel and Vodafone Idea struggling to catch up. While they were still testing their networks, Jio was already selling 5G plans at unbeatable prices. But Mukesh wasn't just building a telecom network, he was preparing for the future of AI and cloud computing. The AI ambition, Jio's plan to challenge Google and Microsoft. Mukesh Ambani understood the power of AI long before it became a global trend. With Jio's 5G network in place, he shifted focus to AI-powered services, cloud computing, and enterprise tech solutions. His strategy was clear. Jio Cloud and Jio AI would become India's answer to Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon Web Services (AWS). He invested billions into AI research and data centers, ensuring that Indian businesses could access affordable cloud computing solutions without relying on foreign companies. He partnered with leading AI firms and even hinted at building India's first homegrown AI chatbot to rival ChatGPT. By 2024, Reliance had built the largest network of data centers in India, launched AI-powered customer service solutions for businesses, started testing autonomous technologies using Jio's 5G infrastructure. Mukesh Ambani was no longer just an industrialist, he was now competing with Silicon Valley giants like Google, Microsoft, and Tesla in the race for AI dominance. Investing in green energy, Mukesh Ambani's next big play. Another sector that Mukesh Ambani saw massive potential in was renewable energy. With the global shift towards sustainability, he knew that the future of Reliance wasn't just in oil and gas, but in clean energy solutions. In 2021, he announced a $10 billion investment into green energy with a goal to build one of the world's largest solar panel factories in India, develop affordable hydrogen fuel solutions to replace traditional petrol and diesel, make Reliance a net zero carbon company by 2035. This move was significant because India is one of the world's largest consumers of energy, and clean energy would be a trillion-dollar industry in the coming decades. By entering the market early, Mukesh was positioning Reliance to be a global leader in solar, hydrogen, and battery technology. Governments worldwide were offering huge incentives for clean energy projects, giving Reliance an advantage in securing international partnerships. At this point, Mukesh Ambani was no longer just the richest man in Asia, he was building a legacy that would define India's future for decades to come. Mukesh Ambani's net worth breaking the $100 billion mark. By 2024, thanks to his aggressive expansion into telecom, AI, cloud computing, and green energy, Mukesh Ambani's net worth crossed $100 billion. His empire now included Jio, India's biggest telecom and digital services provider. Reliance Retail, the #1 retailer in India. JioMart, a rising e-commerce competitor to Amazon and Flipkart. Jio 5G, India's first nationwide 5G network. Jio AI and Jio Cloud, challenging Google and Microsoft in cloud computing. Reliance New Energy, one of the largest clean energy projects in Asia. Mukesh Ambani was no longer just an oil and telecom magnate, he was a tech visionary, a digital leader, and a global billionaire reshaping India's economy. But what does the future hold for him? With Jio's 5G dominance, AI and cloud expansion, and green energy ambitions, Mukesh Ambani had cemented his place as Asia's richest and most influential business leader. But every empire faces challenges, and Mukesh Ambani's Reliance was no exception. The biggest questions now were, who would take over Reliance after Mukesh Ambani? How would he handle competition from other Indian billionaires like Gautam Adani and Tata Group? What does Mukesh Ambani's legacy mean for India and the global economy? Let's dive into the final part of the story. Mukesh Ambani's succession plan, the next generation of leaders. One of the biggest concerns for any billionaire is succession. Who will take over and ensure that their empire continues to grow? Mukesh Ambani had seen the destructive power of a family feud firsthand. His own bitter fight with Anil Ambani over Reliance's split in 2005 had nearly destroyed the company. He knew he had to plan his succession carefully to avoid history repeating itself. In 2022, Mukesh Ambani officially began the leadership transition by handing over key responsibilities to his 3 children. Akash Ambani was appointed chairman of Reliance Jio, making him the leader of India's biggest telecom network. Isha Ambani took over Reliance Retail and JioMart, overseeing its massive expansion in e-commerce and offline retail. Anant Ambani was put in charge of Reliance's new energy business, leading the company's transition to green energy. Mukesh Ambani made it clear he was preparing the next generation to lead Reliance into the future. However, he didn't completely step back. Instead, he remained as chairman of Reliance Industries, guiding his children while keeping control of major decisions. This was a strategic move that ensured a smooth transition of power without family conflicts. Reliance's continued dominance in key industries like telecom, retail, and energy. A clear vision for the future, backed by both experience, Mukesh, and fresh ideas, his children. But while Mukesh was preparing for the future, new challengers were rising. Competition from Gautam Adani, Tata Group, and global giants. Mukesh Ambani may be the richest man in Asia, but he wasn't the only one with big ambitions. Other Indian billionaires were aggressively expanding their businesses, creating fresh challenges for Reliance. 1. Gautam Adani, the new rival. In 2022, Gautam Adani briefly overtook Mukesh Ambani to become the richest man in Asia, thanks to his rapid expansion in ports, power, and green energy. Adani's empire grew faster than any other Indian conglomerate, and his influence in infrastructure and logistics made him a serious competitor. However, in 2023, Adani's empire was hit by a major financial crisis when a report from Hindenburg Research accused his company of stock manipulation and fraud. This caused Adani's fortune to drop significantly, while Mukesh Ambani remained stable and unshaken. Even though Adani's companies recovered later, the incident proved that Mukesh Ambani's Reliance was built on a much stronger foundation. 2. Tata Group's expansion. Tata Group, one of India's oldest and most respected business empires, had also stepped up its game. The company had launched Tata Neu, a digital platform to compete with JioMart and Amazon, expanded its telecom presence with Tata Communications aiming to challenge Jio's dominance, invested heavily in electric vehicles, EVs, and battery technology, an area where Reliance was still catching up. Mukesh Ambani now had to fight on multiple fronts, defending his position in telecom, e-commerce, energy, and AI. 3. Global tech giants enter India. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Tesla were also making big moves in India. Google partnered with Jio to create affordable 5G smartphones. Microsoft invested in India's cloud computing sector, challenging Jio Cloud. Elon Musk's Tesla entered India, planning to build electric car factories. Mukesh Ambani knew that the next 10 years would be a battle for digital and energy dominance. But if history had shown anything, it was that he was always 2 steps ahead of his competition. Mukesh Ambani's legacy, the man who changed India. As of 2025, Mukesh Ambani is still at the top of Asia's wealth rankings with a net worth of over $100 billion. His vision, strategy, and ability to disrupt industries have made him one of the most powerful business leaders in the world. His legacy isn't just about money, it's about how he transformed India. Revolutionized telecom. Jio made internet affordable for over 700 million Indians, changing the way people connect, work, and consume content. Built India's biggest retail empire. Reliance Retail overtook Amazon and Flipkart to become India's largest retailer, shaping the future of e-commerce. Pushed India towards AI and cloud computing. With Jio Cloud and Jio AI, Mukesh Ambani ensured that India wasn't left behind in the global tech revolution. Led India's clean energy revolution. Investing billions in solar, hydrogen, and EVs, Reliance is set to become a leader in sustainable energy. Created generational wealth. His strategic leadership ensured that Reliance would remain a powerhouse for future generations, with his children now leading key divisions. Conclusion. What's next for Mukesh Ambani? Mukesh Ambani has conquered oil, telecom, retail, tech, and energy, but his journey isn't over. His next moves will likely include expanding Jio's AI and cloud businesses to compete with Google and Microsoft, strengthening Reliance's global presence, making it a truly international tech conglomerate, driving India's dominance in clean energy, pushing the country toward net zero carbon emissions. While he may step back from daily operations, his influence over Reliance and India's business landscape will remain strong for decades to come. Mukesh Ambani isn't just the richest man in Asia, he's one of the most powerful. Mukesh Ambani isn't just the richest man in Asia, he's one of the most powerful economic forces in modern history. And with his vision, strategy, and relentless ambition, the world will continue to watch what he does next.